niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports, programm fejn ħanitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, esports plus.
GT3Esports.com.
I confirm the light start on and yes.
Okay, we proceed to the start.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports, programm fejn nitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, Esports Plus.
Two rounds down, four rounds
left.
And we head to one of the great all-around circuits that the world has ever produced. Over in the 60s, it was a legendarily long track where it could be dry and it could be wet at exactly the same time. The Master Kink, one of the scariest corners in all of motorsport. But when the track got revised down into just a shade over 7 kilometers in terms of length, this was a place which still commanded the fear and the respect of every single driver who has ever taken the chance to drive around these fabled corners. You head through the likes
of Eau Rouge, through Radion, the Last Horse Hairpin. You can go up the Kemmel Straight. You can find yourself the run through the double apex left to double gauche over towards Blanchimont corner as well for scary fast. Spa-Francorchamps. This is round 3 of the Malta National GT3 Esports Championship for 2022, fueled by Enemed, racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione. It's currently a 23-point gap at the top of the championship, and there is still a whole heap of a load of points to keep in mind and play for today. I'm Jake Sperry here, bringing you through all of the action as we get through down in the World Pro Racing Arena. We'll have Justin Mifsud around from time to time, but today is going to be about understanding one of, if not the longest circuit that they will challenge themselves on the calendar today. The circuit de Spa-Francorchamps is as I've just said, 7.004 kilometer track, and a track which has in every single phase of the way it goes about a difficulty around it. Everyone knows how the challenge has evolved over time and has been a case of year upon year trying to get better and better. But since it became a permanent racetrack facility, this has been the go-to place for, quite frankly, some amazing racing that goes out and about, be it the likes of the Formula Championship. Rallycross recently has jumped itself there. The 24 Hours of Spa is something that is quite frankly incredible, and I'm sure we're going to find some truly incredible racing here today as drivers look to try and book themselves in with one place only available to represent Malta in, of course, the FIA Motorsport Games. So that is something to keep in mind. That is something where the focus is very much planted at this point. But as they go through the incredibly fast first sector, the tight and technical middle sector, and then the stop-start nature of the final sector out on track with that what was a bus stop chicane, now a right-left off camber section to end the lap. This is a difficult track, and I'm sure that drivers will have to learn and adapt as they go about things today. But if you haven't had the chance already, we are live, of course, here with TVM Sport, with motorsport.tv and ESTV, the Esports Television Network, along with Facebook, with YouTube as well, and our various partners going through and providing that, including the likes of the Motorsport Federation, who can't say too much more than say that they have been an incredible supporting cast when it comes to pro racing events. Now, let's talk championship, shall we? It has been a case of one driver up at the top, but it is a 3-horse championship race as they have been going about with their work and trying to sort out the early stages and the early form. It's only a 6-round championship. They have had an extra week to prepare here for this race, and they know that this is going to be a case of a small race here, a small race there, and of course, coming out of this race, it is going to be a fast flurry of racing results when we will have ourselves, in the space of 12 days, the final 3 rounds of the championship in September. But at least for the moment, it should be an interesting battle. Dean Vella has been proven to be the fastest driver when it comes to the stopwatch, and he has been doing a very sterling job through the various machinery that he has been given of giving himself that advantage, and he managed to do so with a brilliant consistency value, which is one of the cool things that Assetto Corsa Competizione gives you, and that's why he's on 98 points of a consistency value of at least 99.63 throughout his races. He's got himself the fastest lap in one of the races, but not the other. In race 2, he got the fastest lap, didn't quite get it in race 1 last time out when it came to battling action. But Sheldon Muscat tried to prove that he was close, but 0.8 of a second down, found himself fighting with Dylan De Bono for what is second and third position at the Nürburgring 2 weeks ago, I should say, and ultimately ended up on the wrong side of both of them, ending up in third position. So that's why the gap has opened up to Dean Vella. That's why he's got some work to do to claw himself back through. But in terms of race pace, they are two very similar drivers. So keep an eye out, I should say, between Dean Vella and Sheldon Muscat with the work that they will have to construct over the course of racing today. But you also have to look out for Dylan De Bono, who is on 71 points, just 4 points back of Sheldon Muscat's score of 75 right now. And he should be someone to also keep a very close eye out on. Those three drivers hold themselves a massive margin over Kirsten Abeja, who is currently in fourth position in the championship. It is 37 points only that Kirsten Abeja has. Nigel Mifsud in fifth with 35. Andrea Rizzo with 34 points. Makes it a very close fight. Fourth, fifth, and sixth overall. Daryl Martinelli currently in seventh with Trajan Pavlovsky in 8th position on 15 points. Jean-Louis Carrao has 12 points in 9th place. And rounding out the top 10 is Goran Andreevski, who has just 6 points in the back of the pocket. So, 2 rounds in. They'll have 4 rounds still to complete. And we should be on for some incredible action in the not too distant future. The drivers will all find themselves looking at practice not too soon. And of course, they will all be racing at the World Pro Racing Arena in Malta, giving themselves that LAN feel, which has been so synonymous with esports and the understanding of what is an incredible esports scene. And this is actually a moment to congratulate Justin, who will be down there at the World Pro Racing Arena on his brand new dedicated program called Esports Plus. That will be airing on TVM Sports Plus starting in October. So make sure you check that out if you haven't had the chance to already. But what I would say at this point in time is that these drivers have been through this scenario before. Had 2 races when we can get themselves into position. They can give themselves an opportunity to go out and give themselves as much time as they possibly can to put the right practices all in and together. But we will get a little look on that in just a couple of moments' time here with World Pro Racing. Stay with us. More after this.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn nitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, Esports Plus.
Esports is a wonderful thing, isn't it? It's so wide and diverse, and it encompasses all sorts of different games and different elements of great competition. It really is the modern jump forward and the next generation of
where heroes and villains are made and what you love and what you don't love. And I tell you what, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to that amazing action throughout the years as it continues to grow from strength to strength. But we are just moments away from getting ourselves then down to the World Pro Racing Arena, seeing the drivers, the players of the game, as it were, and their understanding of what they need to be looking at, what they hope to be doing, and how they should be challenging themselves as much as possible today to say if their first 2 rounds haven't gone well, how do they then find momentum through rounds 3 to 6? If it has gone brilliantly in rounds 1 and 2, then round 3 needs to be more of the same to continue that margin, to continue to be up at the very, very top, up at the very, very front of the field. And I'm sure that we are going to have ourselves then wonderful action coming forward from the Spa-Francorchamps for this third round. The final 3 rounds of the championship are also going to be interesting to keep in mind. You've got some brilliant work that's going through there. Brands Hatch will be round 4, then it will be to Paul Ricard on round 5, which will be on the 9th of September, 2nd of September for Brands Hatch, and then finishing off Wednesday the 14th over at Mount Panorama Bathurst. That is going to be interesting, the Australian streets being where we finish off our championship. But let us then get a little bit of an understanding of where everyone is going to be in terms of today. What do they have to look for? What are their goals now moving forward? And it's going to be a case of different drivers looking for different races, looking for opportunities to strike forward, looking for a chance of a lifetime to go to the FIA Motorsport Games, to compete there with the Malta Motorsport Federation, to show the world just what they are capable of doing. And the ever-evolving and developing esports and racing scene here in Malta is truly incredible. I'm sure that we are going to see that in full play. Just awaiting word on when we're going to get that chance to jump down then to the World Pro Racing Arena and get that chance to get a look at the drivers and their understanding of their competition and how much they have to work and how much they have to push themselves today on what has been an all-important extra week to give themselves understanding and clarity and purpose of practice and understand the new car they have to get through every single week. It is different from week to week. We started off very nicely with the Audi R8 Evo 2 out there, all GT3 spec, of course. That then followed to the BMW M6, the GTE variant of that, and then across to what was round 3 today. They will be riding themselves absolutely beautifully and fantastically in the Porsche 911 GT3R. So they've got that in the back of their mind, the GT3R, a car which, for every understanding of what Porsche has done for motorsport, has been for motorsport, they have been truly incredible. They wire the world up in terms of being one of the most iconic brands, one of the most recognizable brands, one of the most recognizable cars that you can find. The classic design has remained largely unchanged from when they first created the 911. And really, as a concept, if you want to get your teeth stuck in anywhere in the world, it could be in the United Kingdom, could be in Europe, could be in Brazil, could be in America, could be in Australia. You get your hands on a Porsche, you get yourself out Porsche racing, you get a really good understanding of what a Porsche is and what it is all about. It is one of the most unique and revolutionary cars that has ever been created. And of course, we always have to talk about it as the uniqueness of the engine, as it were, a boxer engine as it had, which gave it the opportunity to cool down just a little bit more in comparison to other engines out there, and really a truly unique and important car and company when it came to the history of motoring in the world. So keep an eye on Porsche as they continue to develop with what going through. Still awaiting word on when we're going to be jumping down and getting ourselves then over towards our driver intros, and I believe that we will be getting a chance to look at them in the next couple of seconds here, ladies and gentlemen, so that should be all important. And the drivers who will be setting the scene today and their battles that they'll be hoping to win out overall. Always got to be a winner in a race. There's always got to be a loser in a race as well. So this should be the all-important challenge. So let us head over towards the World Pro Racing Arena. This is where we're going to see some great racing take place. And here are the drivers who will be taking that foray forward. So starting off then, number 54, be looking for complete control out on front. Dean Vella has been leading the championship, will be looking to do so again. And as he enters the World Pro Racing Arena, the old into the new, as it were, at this fantastic venue, question's going to be 3 out of 3. There's always going to be questions. And there's Justin stood by waiting. Oh. There you have it then. There was Dean Vella, and he will be certainly hoping to go forward and get things going. I'm not sure whether it's on my end or down there at the World Pro Racing Arena, but I certainly couldn't hear anything. And if you didn't, ladies and gentlemen, then I do apologise then on that front. But we should be rushing forward hopefully soon to make sure that everyone is in position and happy with the work that they're doing, getting themselves all nicely situated with practice and getting themselves up to speed and in and around what is a very difficult track, and assess the conditions that are there and get themselves nicely in the groove for what is some great racing tonight. Each race is going to be 20 minutes, both races being 20 minutes long, and it's important drivers set quick qualifying times as and when they do get to those, and when they do set those quick times, they'll be looking to try and give themselves the best possible grid position on what are rolling starts to an incredibly difficult battle. Expect lap counts to be down and a little bit shorter than what they normally are, and that should be interesting to hear out there just how quick they are managing to go out there and set their lap times. Of course, we are in GT spec, so we should expect those times to be in and around 2.5 minutes. Should be a good ballpark if it's a dry day, so just keep that in mind. Maybe a little bit quicker if memory serves me correct. But we should be looking forward to some good racing. Just awaiting word on where exactly we are going next at this point in time, but I am sure that we are going to be heading over to great racing action shortly, or getting all the drivers ready and situated as and when they need to. There is Sheldon Muscat in what the number 14 car, looking to try and bounce back after what was a couple of mistakes last time out, and hoping that that should be all helpful, and going to be running through the audience participation seating available. It seems they go through, and Sheldon Muscat now knows that work to be done here in this third round.
Mr. Sheldon, now audio's fine for sure. You know, you have pencil batteries and they just go boop, and that's it. Sheldon, second in the championship, 75 points if I'm not mistaken, something like that. You're fighting along with Dean, lap times and everything, but it's quite far from the third round, meaning that he has to push and try to get that P1 for the next couple of races. After today's practice, rain, setup, your feeling?
I feel really confident with the car, with the Porsche. I mean, it's a good car. It's a very stable platform here in the rain. So we'll see how it goes. I hope I can be in first place.
Wishing you good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, news there. It is raining, and that will be news or delight for some, and for others it will not be as amusing as they go through. Long walk down to the end then for one Mr. Sheldon Muscat, and we'll be looking to get situated in his sim rig, and or virtual cockpit as some would say, and then get off in racing action. Very well, you can already see with Justin there running about, getting back into position, as Kirsten Abeja, number 17, will be next up and along, and we'll be certainly hoping for a good showcase here today, which does make me question whether the 517 is going to be out here and racing today, which will be a little bit concerning if Dylan de Bono is not here. But for Kirsten, it'll be about getting all of that work sorted. A nice thumbs up and smile. And we'll be certainly hoping to build the gap away from Nigel Mifsud and Andrea Rizzo.
Kirsten, you still have to fight and push more to gain some positions. Are you training or practicing at home?
No.
No. Meaning that's why you have that position there. After today's practice in rain, not heavy rain, so it's much more difficult. So you have to decide, either I go wet, either I go dry, I risk or not. Your experience after the practice session and before the qualifying?
Still trying to adapt to the conditions, and even the Porsche, it's a very tricky car to drive. Not bad, but many mistakes and much more time to improve.
Is it your favorite car?
In different tracks, yes, but in Spa, not so much.
That's why I chose it for everybody, not just for you. To make it harder, because when they're going to compete, the winner of the championship, when he's going to compete in the FIA Motorsport Games, it's not going to be easy. Wishing you good luck.
Never going to be an easy challenge, but today in the rain, there are differences in terms of how you tackle it, and certain drivers sometimes excel in these conditions compared to a dry race. It is the quote-unquote great equalizer when it comes to racing in terms of rain, so it's always worth keeping an eye on that. Nigel Mifsud then had a really nice showing last time out, and will be looking to do more of the same again after the Nürburgring. Really did prove to be his sort of track. The pace, say, was somewhat similar to the likes of Dylan de Bono and Sheldon Muscat in the initial stages, so that pace could very much turn up today in the rain.
Nigel, you love the Porsche, first of all?
Not much, but I hope she'll love me back today.
Well, I love it as well, but it's not a car, the easiest car to drive, especially in Spa, from these drivers that came before you. The experience with a hard car to drive at Spa in rainy conditions?
Not easy, but the rain, they always say, is a good equalizer, so hopefully we get closer to the guys at the top. We have one of the top drivers today missing, so hopefully that's also an opportunity to move up.
Wishing you good luck.
Thank you. Thanks.
It's like someone was listening to me as they were making their walk up into position, but I'm sure that Nigel will be trying to find everything that he possibly can, that he can really rush forward, he can really find that pace and kick on up to the next bracket of quick drivers out there. Andrea Rizzo has been moving from strength to strength. Week on week is going to be the sort of driver who will be looking to improve on results, and to only be 1 point behind his nearest rival in the championship in the fight for fourth position, or in fifth at that point, and only a couple points further back of Kirsten Abeja in that fight. This is going to be a really interesting one to keep an eye on as racing goes on, with a bit of swagger as he walks.
Mr. Rizzo, exactly as you said, Jake, this Mr. Swagger boy. Hopefully not saying today, are you prepared? No. Are you prepared?
Track-wise, yes, and car-wise. The weather, not so much. Maybe. But
you love the Porsche?
It's good, but it's a bit tough, especially in the wet.
That's the pleasure of choosing such car for these guys at Spa. So, you know, they continue to love me more because my choices are not good that much for Rizzo. Considering that it doesn't have a simulator at home. This is the usual thing we have been saying about Rizzo, but apart from all the jokes, it's all about driving, competing, having fun, and Porsche is not an easy one. So I wish you good luck. And of course, it's not going to be easy because it's not super rain or torrential, meaning it's more hard. So this setup plays a very important role. Wishing you good luck, Rizzo.
So with the rain then over at Spa-Francorchamps, this should be an interesting understanding of where drivers can find the grip and find the time. It's not going to be as easy as 1, 2 and 3 as it is. Darren Martinelli, who has had a couple of struggles so far this season, will be certainly hoping to run forward and get a clean race under the belt. That's going to have to be the plan. 25 points off of the first 4 races. Not quite ideal, but this is, again, a case where still in the running for position. That ship has certainly not sailed so far, and a good result today, good 2 results today, should do the job.
Daryl Martinelli, another competitor, one of our new competitors in the National Championship, the second season of the National Championship, where he just went for it. He started doing fun events with his friends here, and here you have him in the National Championship. Your feeling today after first, second round, and the first round with a rainy session. Your feelings after the practice session, the Porsche setup-wise, tell us.
So it's actually I only did 45 minutes of practice in the wet, my first 45 minutes. Again, you get more confident as time goes by. The setup doesn't feel too bad. I mean, the Porsche is not an easy car. With a bad setup, it's disastrous, but it's not too bad, yes.
Wishing you good luck.
He will take his walk then, find his simulator rig. Number 4 be the choice. We'll jump in, grab the steering wheel, and all ready, plug and play when they get to practice, so they get an opportunity to go out and get more understanding. Now, Trajan Pavlovsky, someone who missed the opening round of the championship, now having to fight effectively on the back foot. 15 points from the opening week of his campaign isn't too bad at all. Another result like that, and Daryl Martinelli could be under threat. And again, still not over 4th place in the championship. A couple good results here or there could go and do wonders.
Mr. Trajan, who missed one race, actually one event, one round, and now has to push more to try gain points and you know, try to go up the ranking. Your feeling about the Porsche, the setup, rainy conditions? It might stop raining, it might continue raining, as I'm probably seeing there. Let us know, tell us about your experience today in the practice session.
I mean, the rain is tricky, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad, so we should have a nice race.
Just to let you know, Trajan already have some experience in sim racing, right? He came here for a session, he enjoyed it, and then he is trying to represent Malta in the FIA Motorsport Games. So it is something that we always push in bringing more talent into our events, not just a national championship. It could be a casual race that I'm sure Jake knows about, because we've been doing for quite a while. But thanks to your effort pushing and competing in such event, it helps others that are maybe afraid of competing with other competitive drivers. Doesn't matter. You have to push there. If you come last, that's your first, at least, position that you started with, and then you continue to go up. So wishing you the best of luck, and hopefully we see you someday in a podium, maybe today, who knows, or the next rounds to come.
That's the good thing about sim racing, is you never know truly who's going to be up there at the front, up at the top. So an understanding of the process then seems to be the key as they get into position and look to run forward. Gianluigi Carrao has been on the wrong side of Lady Luck over the opening few rounds of the season, had some brilliant defensive work over at the Nürburgring that ultimately did not profiteer into results or points. Down on 12 points right now, but certainly is looking promising in terms of points at the moment, walking through into the World Pro Racing Arena where Justin is awaiting him.
Gianluigi, not the most lucky person during the races, in the previous races. It's nothing to hide, it's the truth. Crashes. Yeah, sorry for reminding you, but that makes you focus more. So that's past. So today is the present, today is another race, meaning, okay, it's another race, a different race. Weather conditions are not that good, but how was the practice session?
Very well, we can't complain.
Short and sweet. Let's hope it goes on those top 3 positions, one of them short and sweet. Wishing you good luck for the first and second races. Hopefully no incidents to anybody here competing.
Thank you.
So work to be done. I believe we will have one more driver to get to in the next couple of seconds, as pretty much almost everyone now has got themselves sat down, has got themselves ready and waiting, and has got themselves into practice, and that is Goran Andreevski, who will be looking to put together another strong run, just 6 points so far this season, but there is still that opportunity to grab a little bit more out there. This is a tough racetrack that they're going to be racing today at Spa, but it's one that everyone should have an understanding of in the back of their mind, because it is just so widely, universally accredited and acclaimed.
Goran, who missed one event, so he has to push more, but he's always determined to continue pushing. Another new driver in the national championship, so it is something that we always look for, people who are positive in such things, not just about, you know, coming last and you worry about it, but pushing there, being amongst the top drivers in Malta to represent Malta and the FIA Motorsport Games. Your experience today with the Porsche in rain conditions and a setup that you had to adjust yourself to suit yourself on track.
Yes, I did some adjustment. Now, because it's wet race, there will be like little messing in the track, but I will try to be careful and to push as well.
Wishing you good luck. All the drivers are ready to start the qualifying session. We will restart the qualifying as it already just started. Reminder that there are one race, 20 minutes and another race, and then, of course, 3 rounds remaining for the final rounds. On to you, Jake. Let's race.
Let's race indeed. And I tell you what, I can't wait to see how they're going to battle out there, how they're going to manage with the conditions. And I tell you what, I sort of wish I was in a virtual Spa right now where it's absolutely pouring down with rain, because it has been, without exception, as I look over to my right-hand side out towards my window, incredibly hot right now. It's about 30 degrees here plus, and there's no windows open. So, well, I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm sure you're all going to be in it for the long haul as well. So let's all have some fun. Let's all see some amazing racing come into view. And one of the keys in terms of putting together the great race is making sure that you have got your best possible position in front of you. And that's why qualifying can be so vital and can be so important. Certain drivers excel when it comes to qualifying. Other drivers maybe don't have as much luck when it comes to it. But this is probably one of the more open qualifyings out there. It's going to do one of two things. Either this field's going to close up, or it's going to spread and string out even further than it already has, because of the differences on how you have to push in wet conditions. And those wet conditions, you're always scrabbling about for a little bit of extra grip here and there. You don't have as much help from downforce, and the track is slippery underneath you, as it naturally is when it rains. So you're always trying to find the limit of grip, and it does become a lot more difficult in terms of the way that you can go and you can find that grip and find that extra little tenth and hundredths, which does sometimes become more and more important the better that the track becomes. And of course, when it comes to a set of Corsa Competizione, truly know what the weather's going to do. You have to keep your eye on the sky, you have to keep your eye on the weather forecast, because it might dry up or it might just get a little bit wetter out there. There you can see then the World Pro Racing Arena above me right now, and of course to my put one hand up and see where I am. So if I look over my left hand side, there you can see the track out there and the drivers out then at the moment. 15 minutes remaining in qualifying at least at this point. You can see the rain just dropping up onto the circuits they race around in those Porsche 911 GT3 R machines, and look to try and put the times together on the board. So just running through the middle sector, it's not enough rain at this point in time to see a lot of spray being kicked up. Now that's going to be truly interesting, which means that the track I would say is damp at this point in time, but not wet, not wet, which means that there is still going to be a lot of time that can be found over the course of the racing they've got. And it looks like the track's going to stay pretty consistent over the course of the racing here today. So do not expect too much difference in terms of how this track is going to evolve, at least in this opening race here in sim time 4:11 p.m. So they certainly have themselves in a strong position to not need too much the headlights as they hit the brakes, run through. Looking at Sheldon Muscat right now, looking to try and open up as much as possible to gear up for a flying lap, taking an incredibly wide line through both corners, trying to get the maximum amount of acceleration off to gear one up. So a crucial gearing up procedure, moving through into the Lassour's hairpin and looking to try and get things sorted. Kirsten Abeja right now will be definitely someone to keep an eye out on in terms of times. And that battle for 5th and 6th may soon be 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th with no Dylan de Bono here today racing. So a chance to close the gap up in the championship and find those points which have become very vital. Slipping through then at Stavelo corner and corner pull Frere, which follows immediately after. This right-hander, very easy to just over push through that section of road, get out over the curb, and sometimes even clip that small patch of gravel that is out there as they run over towards Blanchimont, one of the most ferocious corners out there in the world of racing. This left-hander you have to have the commitment for, and just pushing a little bit wide there onto the paint on the outside is not going to be helpful either. It is going to cause a few issues here and there for drivers when they do have that little bit less grip than they would do comparatively to the racing surface that they have available to them. So for Kirsten Abeja, it'll be a keep your eyes peeled moment, gearing up, looking to start a respective flying lap, going through the Lassour's hairpin a little bit deep there, through carrying a little bit too much speed, and that's going to cost a bit of time then, running down and then back up the hill. And this is one of the most deadly places on a wet track here, is Eau Rouge and Radion, because it will all pool down near the bottom of the track, as it naturally does with water when it sends down a hill. Di Vella, though, will be certainly hoping that results today are going to be exactly the same as the first 2 rounds, the first 4 races that he's had. He's got 23 points worth of margin, and what does 23 points mean in terms of championship points? Well, how to put this into a way that can be understood. 1 win in this series is 25 points, so a 23-point margin means that today he already has a 1 race buffer in the back of the pocket, because of course 10th position offers 4 points overall, unless he doesn't get pole position or driver of the day. Sheldon Muscat going fast then on a 2:27.6 then, and that time I was not a million miles away actually for how quick we'd be running today, which surprises me. But 27.6, 4/10 of a second the margin. Daryl Martinelli currently 3rd fastest right now, being knocked down by Pavlovsky and Nigel Mifsud, who is only 1.7 seconds adrift at this point in time. There is Sheldon Muscat looking to go again, get that heat into the tyres, because when it's wet, the one thing that you cannot afford is your tyres to cool. The track temperature just 22 degrees. There's a lot to focus on in terms of these early stages. 9 minutes and 7 seconds remaining here in qualifying. Nigel Mifsud then back in the pits. Trajan Pavlovsky's just been bumped down into 5th position. Andrea Rizzo moving up then into 4th and finding the right time. That's a little wide from Trajan Pavlovsky, and just running over those anti-cut curbs then on the inside of the Lacoum section through Malmedy and down over the hill into Bruxelles. Here, this long sweeping right down the hill. Highest point of the circuit up there on the run and the descend down through this section. The flick left then at Beaker's Corner leads over then towards Double Ghost, the double apex left, formerly known as Pouon, and an incredible commitment corner that you need all the grip as you turn in. It took 2 bikes for Trajan to get through and find that place and find the car responding well, and then of course the right and the left of Vanya immediately follows on after that. So you're always trying to put the power down as early as you can off of the exit of these corners, using as much of the road as possible. The brakes again, a very short straight running through to Stavelo corner and then to the curve at Paul Freb, this second of the 90-degree rights, because this is the part where the old course rejoins the new course, as it were. And the run, of course, goes when the track used to visit Savalo Village. And they run now toward Spa and Francorchamps, which is where the track gets its name. Of course, one part of the town being Spa, the other part being Francorchamps, as they look to drive forward and get as much as they can. Sheldon Muscat then up the hill will be certainly looking to get back out of the pits again and putting a good time together. And no quote-unquote changes to the track on this version of the Set of Corsa Competizione. So they haven't quite, or when this game was created, they didn't have the new amendments to the track over at Radion, as Sheldon Muscat looks to get out and get some understanding of qualifying conditions and find another quick time, maybe with a brand new set of tyres, to go out and really push for it. But the understanding is they can go out then and do everything that's possible to really open up that time. They know how important this time is. I found myself, I just lost my train of thought there mid-sentence, but if they can find the time, then they're going to be doing really well. Sheldon Muscat has just lost his pole position time. Dean Valla has just gone quicker by a 10th and a 3rd at this point in time. So it looks like drivers are now starting to find that extra level as they go through, and if they can find what is needed, they can find the points and availabilities to rush forward to get those points sorted together, and they know that they have everything that they need and a little bit more. Over the course of racing action that we do have here today, we do have, of course, the 2 bonus points that are on offer, and those bonus points are truly important. So you get 1 point, ladies and gentlemen, if you do get the fastest time in qualifying, and that is a 1 point bonus only for opening round, and the other bonus point that is there is for driver of the day, which you can find at dotd.wpr.gg, driveroftheday.worldproracing.gg. And if you find yourself over there, you have the opportunity to vote for your driver, who is the driver of the day. You get 5 votes per driver out there. Anyone can vote to work out who is driver of the day. So keep your votes flowing in, and you will find that someone may just be getting a bonus point out there here today. Nigel Mifsud currently 3rd fastest at the moment, and 1.9 seconds adrift at this point. Gianluigi Carrao looking good in qualifying as well, 4.3 seconds off the lead, but big but though, in 5th place, which is crucial for points, especially on a day like today where the track is quite damp and you're always trying to scrap around and hope that the pace that is put together from these wet conditions you can find just pushing a little bit wide, coming out then of on, and now into the final chicane, up the hill, then the off camber left, where you're always trying to fight to get the car turned in. On the exit of this final corner, Nigel Mifsud now down to just 1.2 seconds off the pace, and the time then a 31.3 as they go through, and certainly hope to find times that are available. So they can put themselves in the right place. They can certainly skyrocket up the order. 2 drivers yet to set a time. 1 driver yet to set a time, because Kirsten Bay has just gone 4th fastest. There is your fastest driver in what is going to be 4th position now. But Dean Valla currently on top at the moment. Again, just stoically calm. Nothing too untoward with the way that his driving has been so far. It's just tried to keep it in stations. Not as large of a margin as it has been previously, but what we can definitely say right now, as there will be a chance for potentially 2 laps to be set at this point. It's going to be pretty close running through Blanchemont. Whether he will have only just the 1 lap or the 2, interesting to see whether he can extend that margin from a 10th and a 3rd up to a little bit more. He will only have the one lap. There's no way that a 25 or 23 at this stage is going to be run. And over the line, that is a 28.2 get it around. So no improvement there. Nigel Mifsud's qualifying is done. Be happy with third position then with that pace. So it comes down now to Sheldon Muscat. And let's listen in as he takes the run up the Kemmel Straight. Having to fight the grip then through Bruchel, diamonding off the corner, trying to tip in as close as possible through the left-hander speaker's corner. Rizzo and Martinelli up 6th and 7th past Corral. Corral's just gone 5th fastest then and has jumped ahead by 700ths of a second. 1 lap left in his qualifying at this point. Muscat looking to make this middle sector count then. On the brakes, through Fania, flicking down, 2nd gear. This is a driver's eyes perspective of what a sim racer has in front of them. And fighting through the conditions. Now going to be a look through this Stavolo corner, or Campus corner, as it is now, and into Stavolo. All about time. All about time, all about momentum, all about pushing even faster, even harder with these final stages out there. This is the corner for Pratt, and now over into Warp on Shimon. Look how ferocious it is, using all of the road. Now this final chicane, final braking point out on track. How important is it to get it right? A light bit of correction, a little deep in. That's going to sacrifice the run off the exit of the corner. You're always trying to open up the exit more rather than close it. Check and flag out, and that is enough at the moment though. 2:27.385. It is clear by just 1/10 of a second. Dean Vella over the line. Can't improve on lap time. So that, for the top two, is a big game changer in terms of the championship. Sheldon Muscat, fastest in qualifying. First time we've said that. Kirsten Abejo would like 3rd place overall. 0.2 of a second to find. Really try and run through the middle sector. Turning so aggressively in early. Waiting for the car to bite and respond to the turn. And just rip up and exit that section of track. Going on the brakes then. In through the right and the left of Fania. Wiggle in the middle of the corner. Isn't going to help. And again, very, very shallow and narrow. Coming off of the exit, there's only him and Corral out there on track, and this is looking a little bit scruffy now here in the second half of the lap. It's not going to be good news for Kirsten and the way that he wants to find those points. He wants to run forward, he wants to be challenging Nigel Mifsud, who is the direct competitor in the championship behind him. And not much of a difference there, just 2 points. And those 2 points today in a fight between 3rd and 4th position. Difference is 5 points, so it just shows you how important it is. Little bit on the curb, causing that tailing through the section of the track, and that's going to mean that Kirsten Abejo's lap time may just be fettered away in the final stage. Over the line and no improvement. And that should be that then, in terms of how they line up. So some wonderful work being done in qualifying. Real shock, or I wouldn't say a shock. A change up on the cards. Sheldon Muscat has got himself pace in the rain, and he is on pole position for the race then against Dean Vella and everyone else in this field, looking to try and show that he has got what it takes to claw that gap back to Dean right down and show exactly what he is capable of being found. We are going to be not a million miles away from getting ourselves over towards some racing action. And I do believe that at some point we are going to be jumping down to the World Pro Racing Arena, seeing who Justin can find out there down and get a little bit of feedback away from qualifying. Who's happy, who's not happy, who likes the conditions, doesn't like the conditions. Practice is told. Lack of practice really has left them in the lurch. So there's a lot still to keep in mind in terms of how they go about it. 2 20-minute races still, of course, to come along as well. And if they can get themselves assimilated for that race, all those races, and feel comfortable the way that they've been going, then I'm sure that could be magnificent. They are all that Motorsports Games prize, that chance to race in such an all-important place. They understand what it takes to be up there at the very top. They understand that they've got to keep putting together a set of results, and not every race is going to be out there and dominated as much as most drivers would absolutely love that, a chance to drive away. They are going to have to work, they are going to have to fight, and they have to go and make their race happen. But let's head down to the World Pro Racing Arena, where Justin's got himself some eyes on a couple of drivers here and there who have had some maybe good, some maybe not so good qualifying.
Welcome back, Jake. We were here watching them, their tension, everything, everybody trying to push for doing his best time. I was going to say his or her. Unfortunately, we don't have any female present here, and we're pushing quite a lot to promote women. And it's not just sim racing, but any other game. Sheldon, you're happy?
Yeah, kind of, because I lost a lot of time in the last sector, but yeah.
Qualifying, weather change, did you feel any difference?
No, I mean, it's damp track, so it's the same conditions, I think.
Let's hope a torrential rain happens in the first race, so they have to change everything, and it will be more difficult than it is right now. Just joking, but it could be. We have no idea what will happen. We have settings on the server and everything, but it's meant to be that there might be changes. Hopefully it happens. So randomness is quite more than normal, so we might have some changes as we go along the race, the first race or the second race. Kirsten, I can see that you are P4, right? Your feeling now after the practice, when you came in, and now qualifying finished. It's Spa, there's Eau Rouge, there are many other corners that they might be quite, that you have to, you know, keep a bit back. You are just 10 drivers, but 20 minutes race. So, how was it in the qualifying now?
It was much better than before, as you gain confidence. That's all you need to get a good lap here, confidence. As the session went on, I kept gaining. I needed another lap, but still quite good from practice.
He needs another lap, so race director, please. He needs one more lap, so he can try and push, so maybe he can get a position better than fourth, meaning third, maybe. Who are we going to interview next? Nigel. We can go around everybody, I think, but the others went for a break. Nigel, position, because I didn't check the position. Third place? Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. Well, I was just saying it to Kirsten that he is going to try and push to become maybe third. And the third person was Nigel. You're quite happy, I think, for qualifying. We don't know what's going to happen in the race. Your experience now after the qualifying?
I was happy with my pace. I had a lap that was going to be about 0.8 of a second, but even faster. I would have stayed third. I know Kirsten was pushing to take my spot. It's going to be a tough race to keep him behind me. I know he's a hard driver, but we'll see.
So you want an extra lap as well? Because Kirsten asked for an extra lap.
No, I'm fine.
Good.
I'm fine with the laps as they were.
Wishing you good luck. Daryl is setting up everything, checking what happened, comparing lap times, sectors. Daryl, are you satisfied with your performance, P5? I think you went a bit higher than usual, P5, right? Or during the race sometimes you go down, not the drain, we don't say like that, but accidents and stuff like that. How was it in the qualifying?
It was good. I think I could have went faster. I mean, the car was improving on every lap also, so I'm satisfied with 5th for now. Yeah.
Great. Wish you good luck for the first race. Mr. Lon, we have the photographer here, and he doesn't want to get interviewed, never. So let's do it. Mr. Lon, come here, Mr. Lon. Come here. He doesn't want. He's going to take photos of the drivers, but I will definitely interview him. Mr. Goran, the qualifying now, after the practice, mindset changed. Maybe you changed something for the race, or you saw how the drivers are maybe trying to qualify, how they are taking the lines or sectors. You prepared?
Yes, I'm prepared. I was pushing a little more maybe in the qualifying, so I had some cuts over the corners, and that's why I couldn't get one fast lap. But hopefully in the race I can go further.
Wishing you good luck. It's a 20-minute race for drivers who has experience. Like anybody who's been driving for quite a long time is nothing 20 minutes. But when you have 20 minutes fighting for such a championship, it means like, it feels like 2 hours. So it's not easy, even though it's 20 minutes. 20 minutes fast, one mistake, it means that probably have lost completely the race. Or if it's not that much of damage, you can try to keep pushing at least to maybe gain some positions. But I'm not going to stop here. There are drivers outside that are maybe discussing some tips, or no, probably not. They're waiting for the pizza maybe, because we got them some pizza. Are you ready, guys? You ready? They are so tense, literally. Ready? Are you ready? Yes. He's not. Anyway, on to you, Jake. Some break time remaining. I don't know how much left, but Nathan Vella is in the broadcast. So on to you, and we're ready for the first race of the 3rd round of the Malta National GT3 Esports Championship, fueled by Enemed.
I'm certainly looking forward to it. I can't wait, and I'm sure these drivers well, at least one of them wasn't necessarily ready for it, and well, take all the time you need, why don't you? If there's wet conditions, you have to get up to pace pretty quickly, and sometimes drivers like it, sometimes drivers don't, and the understanding that they have is that everyone is there, and they know and understand that while they're friends, they are still competing against each other, and in order to try and get an understanding of, okay, what went through in some qualifyings, what went through in others, that's where you got to try and find that focus. That focus will be needed after this side of commercial adverts. We're going to step aside for one moment. We'll have race 1 with you after this.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn ħanitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, esports Plus.
light, start button, and yes.
Okay, we proceed to the start.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn nitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, esports plus.
Time for waiting has stopped. Time for action is around now. First race of two, 20 minutes in the damp conditions then of the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, based in the Ardennes Forest, and just a brilliant place to watch racing of all kinds as well, because not only just the racing that comes to powered by engines, but there's also the one powered by human legs, of course. Liège-Bastogne-Liège does flow right around the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps and away towards the final climbs in what is such a legendary cycling race. But here with World Pro Racing and the Assetto Corsa Competizione, we are not a million miles away from the start of racing action. And with the way that things are set up, this is going to be an interesting battle in every single sense of the word. Dean Vella has been the leading driver so far, but not when it came to qualifying times. Was found to be behind by not much to one Sheldon Muscat And this race certainly not a million miles away as all of the drivers get themselves situated into where they need to be. Get that understanding of we need to find as much time as we can today in their races and just run forward with that poise and element of understanding. This is going to be some great racing and we're going to be in for a real treat right now. There are your drivers who are all looking to try and get themselves through. So Sheldon Muscat currently on the pole position with Dean Vella alongside. And then it's Nigel Mifsud, Kirsten Abeja, Daryl Martinelli in 5th, Jean-Louis Carau in 6th, Andrea Rizzo 7th, and then Goran Andreevsky in 8th, and then Trajan Pavlovsky rounding out the 9 as they get themselves ready with their warm-up lap. And this is the perfect time to understand the conditions out there. The track has cooled down as they've gone through. The in-sim time has moved to 5:20 in the afternoon, so it is getting darker as well as they go through. And one of the issues that they're going to be dealing with is a colder track and a car which does not want to keep itself on terra firma. And as such, there might be a few spins in the offing if they are not too careful out there. So the drivers will learn and understand that this is going to be a tall order, and you can see just how slow they're all trying to go, trying to back up the pack as much as possible. They are stuck behind a speed limit out there when they go out and race. So when they go on these formation laps, they do have a speed limit, a top speed that they have to or adhere to at certain points in time. But one of the big keys as they do go around is that they are going to have to try and warm up those tyres, ladies and gentlemen, as much as possible. That's why you will see drivers weaving about around the circuit. Yes, it does cost tyre life, it does cost fuel life to go and do that, but what it will do for these drivers is it will give them that little bit of energy going through the car. And if they do have that heat in the tyres, then maybe they'll be up to speed quicker, maybe they can find the grip a little bit easier. And if they can manage that, run down the hill through Bruxelles into the speaker's corner, finding that little bit more is going to be the most important, the most crucial matter of fact that they will be having to deal with in this race. And they know that this is one of the longer tracks out there on the schedule. They'll have 2 more tracks to deal with in terms of Paul Ricard, and also on top of that, Mount Panorama in terms of circuits with similar veils like where they're racing today at the circuit Spa-Francorchamps. But there's a little look in. I'm not designed to come second. I'm designed to win. Ayrton Senna. He'll be... That is a quote that will be attributed maybe to Dean Vella today, knowing that this is going to be a case of I don't really want to come second. I don't want to give away some of my championship gap out there at the moment, which does stand over a race right now at 23 points. It is 25 for a race win, yes, but it's 4 points to 10th place. So there are still going to be points. There are still going to be moments out there where you think, if to Dean Vella, points are going to be very, very crucial. Points are going to be incredibly important to come by. Find those points, you can find that run today, then my goodness, could you be in for a chance of representing Malta, not just at a national level, but at an international level when it comes to the FIA Motorsport Games. Making their run then towards Blanchimont corner. Most ferocious left-hander, or one of the most ferocious left-handers in all of racing. The only one that can really come close in comparison is 130R over at Suzuka. That is an incredibly difficult corner to get through and get through correctly, but at least for their work right now, these drivers, they all know that as they start to line themselves up, they have got 20 minutes on the clock to deal with as they race. They know they've got to go and execute brilliant strategy. Those two at the front, Muscat and Vella, were a second clear of everybody else in qualifying times. Yes, Nigel Mifsud was close, and there is Sheldon Muscat looking to just gear it up and get ready as everyone closes down in and looks to sort themselves out nice and stably as they get themselves closer and closer. One good bit of caveat as well with the way that they run, that is the finish line they go through there, but the start line doesn't occur until they pass the last horse hairpin. So very much an IndyCar style feel, where the start line and the finish line are in two separate places out there on the circuit. Very much a reminder of the Music City Grand Prix in Nashville. But here comes the opportunity then for Sheldon Muscat to prove that he can take it to Dean Vella. They descend down the hill and they await the green flag to drop, where 20 minutes then on the clock starts now, and they can finally put the power down, and it will be some two-wide action up Eau Rouge and now through Raddy on the right, and immediately they're going to come together. Contact immediately as they run up the hill. Muscat has to shuffle way back into position. They keep themselves all nicely in, and now there's trouble. In goes a number of drivers into the wall, and it looks like Muscat's been involved. Andrzejewski then caught out then on the outside as he goes up the straight, and there is Sheldon Muscat. An absolute disaster. Trajan Pavlovsky, may have been caught up in that one as well. So dramas immediately on the early stages. It looks like, oh, there's more, and that's Kirsten Abeja in the wall. They're going forward, so more to keep in mind. Everybody looking here, there, and everywhere, and Abeja having to go through and just about avoid it. A messy, messy start as they go through the early stages, and dramas befalling a number of drivers then on the opening lap. A bit of contact then between Abeja and the driver then in 7th position just behind as they go through, and there goes through number 23, making a conserved effort to move up into 6th position. That will be Darryl Martinelli, and Abeja, you can tell the damage is there, running well off the circuit, running through the big double left-hander, a double gauche. So Martinelli up into 6th position. As things stand, Dean Vella has the lead, Nigel Mifsud in 2nd. Jean-Louis Corral now up into 5th position, and I believe Will still having to be chasing, but the 55 of Vella still currently in control. Mifsud in 2nd, Andrea Rizzo up to 3rd, and that is Trajan Pavlovsky, who is up into 4th position, so has made great progress off of the start and has done wonderful work to move up in the initial stages of this race. So a little bit back to front, and of course there is live stewarding here in this Multinational Esports Championship, so it's not going to be as plain sailing as this race is completely over and done with. There is still a lot that could go right, a lot that could go wrong for certain drivers out there in terms of this race, and there is Sheldon Muscat having to figure out a way past Abeja, leaving it as late as possible. Couldn't get the car slowed down. A little bit of contact, well, it wouldn't have mattered anyway because Abeja's running into the pits, but there was no way that Sheldon Muscat could have really known that Abeja was coming down into the pits. So just keep that in mind as they go through. And that was a little bit of a wide line just in front of Corral and Pavlovsky from Andrea Rizzo at the last horse hairpin. So that looks like that's going to be some time to salvage back in this race. Sheldon Muscat then will take a 5-second time penalty with his incident then early on in race number 1, and a 5-second time penalty will also go to Dean Vella, and that is crucial in terms of this race because it puts Nigel Mifsud up in control. Martinelli will also take a 5-second time penalty as Trajan Pavlovsky makes the pass on Andrea Rizzo at Le Cun and move up into 3rd position at this point in time here at this stage. And there is a little look then at the stewarding room, that they have all of the information to try and work out who and where has got themselves into a bit of trouble, and they have the opportunity to look at a number of incidents. Corral as well, I believe, has also picked up a 5-second time penalty. Those time penalties will be added on at the end of the race or at the next pit stop, and this is a no pit stop race, ladies and gentlemen. They have to really understand, okay, I've got 5 seconds, I've got 10 seconds if you are Corral out there on track. So Corral's got a lot of work to do right now from 5th position. He's got to build up a margin of 10 seconds over Martinelli. That gap right now at 3.1 at the last sector time check. So build a gap and build it effectively as you go around. There is Andrea Rizzo in 4th. There is your race leader, Dean Vella, able to get a gap, build it early, and needs to build that 5-second margin up after the contact on the opening lap. Margins are fine when it comes to races like these. 2 drivers in the pits, Goran Andreevski and Kirsten Abeja, so expect their point hauls to be way down in terms of what they have been hoping today. Andrea Rizzo then still trying to give chase here to Trajan Pavlovsky, trying to move up into 3rd. No penalties between them, so this is a direct fight between those 2 drivers on the road. Got to try and figure out the right way to find a pass here. There are long straights. It does give a lot of room to try and attack. A little look to the inside. Very aggressive line on the inside by Andrea Rizzo. And it's one of the rare corners, the Lassos hairpin, that finds itself on camber in comparison to most corners that try and find a challenge, which are off camber. The most time we talk about on camber is when we go to American oval tracks, or for example Zandvoort, where there is banking, and that's what we talk about on camber and banking sometimes can be interchangeable in terms of the way that they get put about. But from a driver's eyes perspective, Andrea Rizzo happy to sit behind Trajan Pavlovsky here, running through the right and left. Trajan swinging a little bit wide to the opening part of Lake Coupe, but a little bit of correction then, putting the power on slightly early from Andrea Rizzo is going to be the check and the balance then in terms of their race, and they are going to stay as they are. Little look to the inside, but not quite close enough is Andrea Rizzo to get the run initially, but opens it up lovely on the exit. More confidence on the throttle, clearly moving through, and Pavlovsky having to defend then, moving to double ghost. Not a traditional place to make the pass, but mind you, they don't really have too much room in terms of they go through. Corral runs a little bit wide off the exit. In range of him is Daryl Martinelli, who needs to be within 5 seconds of Corral to move past that place, and is at this point in time. So a crucial fight in terms of their races goes on, and if they do continue to scrap in this race, they might allow Sheldon Muscat a chance to gain a couple of places here and there. Through the campus corner goes Andrea Rizzo, and his chase continues with Trajan Pavlovsky just in front. Gap at the front then has just crept over 5 seconds, so for Nigel Mifsud, he is out of the virtual race lead at this point in time. It now hands over to Dean Vella, and Andrea Rizzo's got a stonking run. He's going to look to the inside. He's a little earlier on the brakes than Trajan Pavlovsky, because Pavlovsky's going to outdo himself here, and through the corner he's going to have to give it up. Goes back on track behind, losing the spot, and Andrea Rizzo is going to move up into 3rd place. Dean Vella sets the fastest lap then of the race over that last time through. No surprises there. And they are already down to just 12.5 minutes, and under that over the course of this opening race of 2. Rizzo currently in 3rd, Pavlovsky in 4th, and there is Jean-Louis Corral in 5th position. Track worth noting that Sheldon Muscat has come into the pits, so that 5-second time penalty has been served. I believe any damage then will be served, and it will be a case of just trying to hold on to that 7th position as this race goes on, because number 19, Kirsten Beher, is back out there and racing, but is multiple laps down. That's always worth keeping in mind. Pavlovsky still not giving up though, trying to make the move, trying to make the pass, and ultimately find everything that is needed on the brakes. God, he's going to have to leave the door open. There is Andrea Rizzo. That was brave from Trajan Pavlovsky, and he's going to get the drive off the exit as well. Maybe around the outside of the big left-hander at Speaker's Corner. Oh, you betcha. Oh, what a pass from Trajan Pavlovsky. He had to go through all the tricks in the book there to find that one, and he regains that position of 3rd, but he'll have to be looking in the mirrors once again, because Andrea Rizzo is not going to give this one up. He's going to try and search every way he can to find that pass, to find that position. At least right now, not able to get close enough to make that run. But the big key is getting this corner here, Campus corner, correct, and Stavolo that immediately follows after it. You get these two corners correct, the run up through the final stages is going to be great. Corral is on the back of this group, and so too now is Martinelli, who's been catching all of these drivers up. And with a 5-second time penalty on Martinelli, a 10-second on Corral, he doesn't need to make this pass, but he'd absolutely want to. He'll have to go the long way around Blanchimont in the rain. Never a wise decision, lifted out of it, and I do not blame Gianluigi Corral at this point in time for trying to push that margin. I don't blame Martinelli for dropping that one back. But, oh, back end's going to go around, and the hands up in the air. Not sure what that was. Not sure how I could have stopped that, but Martinelli almost lost it, trying to stay out of the way and slowing down. Looks like Corral is going to hold on to that 5th place despite the spin, which is a rare sight to see that, really. Martinelli in the wrong position and couldn't really take advantage of it, and it has given Rezzo a license here of about 4.2 seconds. Go out and to challenge the likes of Trajan Pavlovsky out there for 3rd place. So they've got that in their mind that they want to race for. Nigel Mifsud is a long way away. He's 7.5 seconds on the road behind your race leader, and a little bit further in front. He's almost 10 seconds clear of Trajan Pavlovsky, who is there in 3rd place at this point. So gaps are starting to form. Martinelli still at current ahead of Gianluigi Corral, but there is Dean Vella, who after the opening penalty knew has to build a gap, and gap building he is at this point, and by some sizable margin at this point in time. 7.5 seconds, and it's showing once again that you get close in the opening race, you are certainly searching for it. You can still, ladies and gentlemen, vote for your driver of the day. That'll be announced at the end of racing action over the course of both races. You can head to dotd.wpr.gg, driveroftheday.worldproracing.gg, and cast your vote. You get 5 votes per driver to go out there and give over to. So find yourself with that opportunity to put your vote, cast your vote through. One driver might just be a point too good of action today. So it's still interesting to keep an eye on Sheldon Muscat. I believe he didn't come in and take a pit stop, more rather maybe the stewards deciding that he didn't need that penalty to be served due to how far back he'd fallen in the race. But that gap is 7.4 seconds and is almost within the 10 seconds needed to leapfrog Corral. So for Sheldon Muscat, this race might still be on for a couple of points, and on a day where 3rd in the championship's not here and 2nd in the championship now is down in 7th position, needs to be 6th, needs to be 5th ideally for any chance really. Could even be 4th if there's enough time, but I'm not sure there is to chase that all down. Sheldon Muscat might have to run some of his fast laps of the race here to get close. Did a 31.8 that last lap, trying to chase down with the damage that is clearly going to be there after being caught up in the opening lap incident up Radion and over then towards the Kemmel Straight. There is work to be done, and Sheldon's running a pretty lonely race at this point in time in comparison to Dean Vella, who is out in front now to the tune of 9.2 seconds at the road. Andrea Rizzo not giving up in the fight for 3rd place. Trajan Pavlovsky, who's definitely shown that there is pace out there today, and his drive being powered by Enemed at this point in time as he runs through the left-hander at the speaker's corner, and is just doing enough here to hold off the battle, hold off and stem the tide of one Andrea Rizzo, who hasn't gone away, hasn't fallen backwards into the clutches of drivers behind, has just been steadily running his own race, and you've just got to be brave and find the right time to attack and find the position to gain out there on circuit. It is not as plain sailing here as blinking you can make a pass. Maybe in certain styles of vehicles you can, but not these GT3s. They are so reliant, especially these Porsche 911 GT3Rs, that they have to try and just stay and up in and behind and use the toe to an advantage. If they can find the pass that is so widely needed, or what Andrea Rizzo needs, then this should be a very, very interesting battle between now and the end. He has got another monster run, trying to get this sorted at the inside. But again, he breaks early into the corner, and again, a little bit wide through goes Trajan Pavlovsky. It will open up the run on the exit, but again, confidence a little bit bereft on the noisy pedal from Andrea Rizzo. That's understandable in wet conditions like they are in right now, or I should say damp conditions, as they run through into the last horse hairpin, the opening hairpin out on track, and unable to see movement change. Martinelli, though, might have Corral for position here. Either way, he's going to have to try and get through it quick, because the gap is flying down between Martinelli and Sheldon Muscat, and he needs a 5-second buffer by the end of this race to hold on to his position. Couldn't quite make the move down at the bottom of the circuit. What about up Eau Rouge and Radion? And sweeping on through up the hill towards Lake Kuma Malmedy. Fighting on the brakes then. Through the right, and very different lines. A lot more confidence to hit the curves. It looks like Pavlovsky still holding on to position then in third place. And they know that the gap is out to about 12 seconds to Nigel Mifsud. There's nothing they can do about that. Andrea Rizzo, of course, driver who has to come here to the World Pro Racing Arena to get that practice in to drive fast. This is a big points haul for him, with Kirsten Abeja way down the order here at this point in 8th position and a lap down. Here's Martinelli having a think at double gauche. Not going to quite get there. Both drivers are going to overshoot and run a little bit wide through the corner, a little bit naughty, but they're okay. No contact made between either of them then. And over towards Fagna. Martinelli's going to try again at the inside, but the door keeps getting shut here by Gianluigi Corral. There's not much you could do if you are Darren Martinelli out there on circuit. It really has been a case of find the pass. If you haven't found the pass, then you're going to be in a bit of trouble. One thing they do know is that they will have an extra lap, so there'll be 8 laps to go through. Kirsten Abeja, by the way, has just set the fastest lap of the race. Dean Bella came along, so that might be a chance to say that this track might be slightly getting quicker at this point in time. Flicking through the left of Blanchimont, then goes Gianluigi Corral, trying to hold off Martinelli. That gap 7 seconds when they last crossed the line to Sheldon Muscat. So they can't afford, especially for Martinelli, for that gap to drop below 5 seconds the next 2 laps that they have to race. So, dominant driving. I don't think Dean Vella has a gap. He's got about 6 seconds, but they crossed with about 25 left on the clock. So there is no chance that Dean Vella can slow down and still pick up the victory by that measure of metric. But here's a driver's eye view of what Martinelli sees in front of him, as Corral has clearly decided to begin to check out. Here the gearbox screaming down the gears, the engine braking takes effect then. Through then Lake Coombe and Malmedy, up the hill, the highest section of the track, or it does dip back down the hill through the right hander then of Bruxelles. Diamonding off the corner, track falls away every single time. And then into the left of the speaker's corner, trying to really ratchet up on the power off of the exit and through the middle sector of the lap. There is Andrea Rizzo, still in 4th position. That gap around 7/10 of a second last time we saw it. But Pawlowski has started to break away. There's not much that can be done then for Andrea Rizzo, who will be looking at 4th position and not 3rd. And it has been a great drive from Trajan Pawlowski here today in terms of this race. He has been marvels together. There is Dean Vella, and he will know as he crosses the line, he will have just 1 lap to go here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. 1 lap left in his opening race of 2. Say that there is confidence, that there is pride, there is everything and then some in terms of putting together a perfect race. It was scruffy at the beginning. There was that contact between Vella and Muscat, which I think might be some of the most deciding bits of contact we've seen in this championship so far. But even with the 5-second time penalty, Vella's had to try and manufacture a gap to Nigel Mifsud. He has done that brilliantly to the tune of 12 seconds, let alone the 5 that is absolutely required and necessary at this point in time. Running up the hill then to Leykuma Malmedy for the final time in this opening race. The gaps now starting to spread out a little bit. Sheldon Muscat, though, keep an eye on him because he's just 0.03 of a second away from 5th place overall right now. So that is not over and done with here. That gap has really crunched back down. And even if Sheldon Muscat can't make the pass on Daryl Martinelli, he might get past both him and Corral on the road, on the recovery, 5 points. Dean Vella moving through the middle sector then of the lap, looking to run into double gauche, the double apex left-handers out there on circuit, and try and attack off of the exit of this section and move through what has been a truly masterful play of driving and just building a gap early and honest. It's all you need to do. Keep the car pointed on the ground and you've got nothing more that you can really say or do to argue what has been a very, very strong drive. Behind, though, that gap has now crept under 5 seconds, so Sheldon Muscat is there. He will currently be 5th position. There is Dean Vella, a little stroke of the beard, because he's got that little knowledge and understanding that I don't have to look behind me too much anymore. Nigel Mifsud cannot do anything to change the outcome on what has been an incredible race by everyone's standards. So, coming to the line then, through the final chicane, Dean Vella, well, this will now be a hand on that trophy. With a result like this, even with a 5-second time penalty, he's going to win and deal maximum damage to everyone else around. Dean Vella wins race 1 here at the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps. It will be a wait here for Nigel Mifsud, who will come across the line, will take 2nd position, and the top 3 is going to be rounded out then by Trajan Pawlowski. And an important moment in his racing, because that 3rd is going to vault him miles up the championship standings. Mark my words about that. The rest of the drivers coming in. Corral is going to finish off ahead of Martinelli on the track, but by definition, it looks like Sheldon Muscat is going to pivot ahead of both Corral and Martinelli out there on circuit, and it will be a very long wait before Kirsten Abeja does reach the line. It was just before not lapped, so it's able to get another lap, but there is Dean Vella and that familiar sight of victory, which should now be second nature to him right now, and he's just quietly having himself a little look around, maybe with the setup, maybe a bit of understanding there, but definitely had himself a very, very strong drive and can be very happy. Thumbs up performance, and well, why wasn't it at this point in time? Because he really did show and demonstrate that through the adversity that the gap was certainly there to be built and there to be made, and there's not much more to say or do to argue that. The stopwatch doesn't lie. He was the fastest, and he was the fastest by a considerable margin here today. So he has managed that, and at this race, and going, okay, part 1 done, part 2 still to come, and this should be a really, really strong display from him moving forward into race number 2, mark my words. It does give him now an extra few points, and off the top of my head, with 25 points for a win, that should be 16 extra points in the back pocket, which will take the lead margin from 23 to 39 points out there overall right now. So 39-point margin then, as some drivers just look to drive their car back in, look to drive their car back home here in the World Pro Racing Arena, bring the car back into pits, and smiles all around. It was a difficult first race that they have had out there, and there's not much more that be done to deter or sway that in terms of results. So I believe that we got people rushing on down in, looking to get themselves in to position as they are all there standing by. It looks like Justin Mifsud is stood by, and I believe in the next couple of moments he'll have a chance to talk to the winner then of the 5th race, the 3rd round overall, and that of course being Dean Vella. Justin.
Dean Vella, unofficial results of course, because we have to wait for penalties or anything that Adrian and George Stewards and race director are discussing right now. So unofficially, I saw some chaos. I saw you being hit, and you corrected it, and Sheldon as well. Tell us what happened from your perspective.
Not entirely sure. I need to see myself as well, because I'm still a bit confused at this point. But I remember just being a bit, just taking rouge and just a bit of chaos. So I honestly need to see. I cannot really comment at this point. I need to check kind of what happened.
Of course, this is something that a driver should do. It's not about not complaining or not, because you don't know exactly what happened. The stewards are there, the race director is there for a reason, to watch, to check all the angles, and then they come up with a decision. Good to know our race director and stewards are not biased at all. That's how it should be, not just in sim racing, but in motorsport as well. Whoever deserves the penalty, they take it. Whoever deserves the win, they will take the win. Nigel, I saw him hiding there. Nigel, 2nd place. Chaos, as I said already to Dean. From your perspective, from your windscreen, from your side mirrors, from any other area that you could see, tell us what happened from your perspective.
From what I was seeing, I just saw Sheldon in 1st place slide out of Eau Rouge on the 1st lap. I don't know that I saw any contact. In my mirrors then I saw some chaos, some spinning cars and whatever. I just kept my head down, focused, put in a lot of clean laps, had a nice gap behind me so I could drive safely, and I'm happy with my 2nd place.
Great. Of course, another race. Have to wait for another race, so God knows what happens. So we'll use your break, spend it wisely. So another race coming up with more tension. Hopefully not, but it's still raining. So let's find the other driver, Trajan. He's discussing with Rizzo and Goran. Trajan, P3, unofficially of course. What happened at Eau Rouge? I'm asking the same questions. From your perspective, from your windscreen, from your side windows, what happened?
So basically, I just saw 3 cars crash and I went right through them, and that's about it. I didn't see them again, but...
He's playing wisely. That's about it. I just saw this, and that. Good choice of his statement. But jokes apart, from each driver's perspective, you cannot say what happened, only what they saw. So let's go to the stewarding room, and actually the adjudication room, where we also do telemetry when we are doing training sessions and coaching to children, including children with autism, ADHD, that spectrum. The door is open to everybody. But let's go back to the national championship. The 1st race is ready. Here we can see Gianluigi checking what happened, and Goran. Adrian, Mr. Adrian, it's not about waving. It's about questioning you on what happened. Can you let us know what happened, or from your perspective, what you have seen in the 1st lap. Rouge, actually, not first lap. First corner.
Yes, there was the mess today, actually. Most of the incidents happened in the first few seconds of the race. Otherwise, during the race, it was fine. So, next race.
Fine.
Compared to what I had in the beginning to review, yes, it was fine. So I tell the drivers, but most important, next race to take care of Rouge. Most important in the beginning, because they have cold tires and everything, so they need to take care there.
Were there any harsh penalties? Because of course I was not seeing each and every penalty. Did you issue any penalties to any drivers, like not the 5 seconds penalties and drive-throughs? Or of course I know that they don't serve them, so they get just the 5 seconds penalty. They try to win by that penalty, because if you don't serve the penalty, you get 5 or 10 seconds depending on the penalty that you have been provided by either by the system or by the race director. Were there any penalties that you issued?
Time penalties with what we gave. Most of the incidents you need to consider obviously enough the wet conditions, but most of the incidents were actually incidents that can carry a time penalty with them. So
most important thing is that you learn from the mistakes. In fact, there's the driver that I saw quite angry, Mr. Sheldon. In fact, there's the steward explaining, or I don't know what's happening, but probably he was explaining what might happen. But something that I would like to point out is that Sheldon was part of an incident. I don't know, I'm not going to explain because I didn't see anything. So it's about Sheldon and the rest of the drivers and the race control. But something that you did, I'm not going to mention what happened or whatever, so we don't raise any more tension. One thing that you did, I saw you were going to escape, but you didn't. And there is something that you always heard to keep going. Whatever happens, this is not just about Sheldon. He was a perfect example of what happens in a race. Keep going. Then the race director decides. Unfortunate, sometimes lucky, another time. Sheldon, I'm not going to say if it was the blame of somebody else or the fault of someone or not, but how was it overall?
The car felt very, very bad. I had 43 seconds of damage. My steering wasn't straight, so I couldn't drive it. I couldn't drive it well on track. I don't know how I kept it on track, to be honest, especially at El Rouge and Radilin, where you need a lot of downforce and mechanical grip of the car. But yeah, at least I finished.
Exactly, at least he finished. Before you say those are faster than me and you don't compete, this driver said, at least I finished. So if you want to compete with these drivers, at least you have to start. So very well done. For me, you're a winner already because you kept on going, which is something that we really force at World Pro Racing. But not much time remaining, 15 minutes remaining, countdown for the next race. And on to you, Jake, and advertising, and back to the race.
Thank you, Justin. And a 39-point gap now at the top, if my mathematics is somewhat in the right ballpark, and some brilliant racing then has got itself forward. We're going to step aside though for one moment. We'll be back with race 2 after this. You're watching the Malta National GT3 Esports Championship here in 2022.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn ħanitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, esports Plus.
confirm, green light, start on, and yes, sir.
Okay, we proceed to the start.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn nitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, Esports Plus.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the multinational GT3 Esports Championship in 2022. Fueled by Enemed, of course, racing on Assetto Corsa Competizione. We are just one race away from the halfway stage of the season, and it's one which is starting to just become a runaway train at this point. 39 points now. The margin has improved to, oh, actually 38 points. The margin has gone to, I've forgotten that the pole position point went away to Sheldon Muscat then over the course of qualifying. But here on TVM Sport, Motorsport.tv and ESTV, the Esports Television Network, there is so much that goes through all of these drivers' minds. And there they are, all sat in their respective rigs, looking to get themselves ready, looking to get themselves then all position for their second race. It's a brand new 20 minutes. Any maladies or troubles they fell into in the early stages of that race through Eau Rouge and Radion. Up the top of Radion, so often in sim racing, is the place where all incidents somehow manage to happen. They can now go in with a fresh slate and say, we can try again, 20 minutes, get the result that we so desperately want. But on top of that, they're all going to be looking at, okay, 38 points now to Dean Vella. That is going to be a tall order, and you're going to need some bits of helpers just to explain to everyone that there is pizza there, and I am very jealous there because I'm not, unfortunately, contrary to popular belief, and not much I can do. So I shall look at the pizza and not eat it, and have my own bit of food after racing is concluded. But some great action then is bringing itself into play, and now it's all about getting ready for that one final race of tonight. They have a long break in terms of the season, and they'll be moving over towards Brands Hatch, a very, very technical British track, to make sure that their fourth round of the championship is going to bring itself into play. But it's a case of how do you stop Dean Vella when he's driving the way he's driving? Because the one thing that you can't do in a series like this is have an incident. It really sometimes is as simple as that. Just try not to have an incident. And with Sheldon Muscat getting caught up in the lap 1 carnage, of course, those two coming together is never ideal. It completely opened the door up today to say, okay, time to get some points in together. Time to find everything we possibly can. And Dean Vella just took it by the scruff of the neck, built a gap of about 5 seconds plus over with what they needed to, and managed to get that sorted. You can as well, ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you have eyes on driver of the day. For this second race, it's going to be crucial. You get 5 votes per person as you go forward. You can head to dotd.wpr.gg or driveroftheday.worldproracing.gg, as it were, the way that the acronyms spell themselves out, as the drivers now get themselves on their pace lap, their formation lap, to get up to speed, get up to pace, and find exactly where they are. Grid exactly the same as it was in race number 1, and the work to charge down through this field is going to have to be doubly important as they go forward and try and get what they can. So points are still going to be needed to be found. Who is going to put together the best charge necessary? It's even darker. Track is still damp. It looks like it's going to stay damp, but the track temperature is down to 17 degrees, so it is really as cold as it can possibly be out there at this point in time. It is one very, very chilly evening over in the Belgian Ardennes at this point in time. So they'll all have to work to try and put those points together. And for Sheldon Muscat, he knows if he wants to bring the points back down, he's going to have to do a lot of work over these 20 minutes to keep behind Dean Vella, who just wants to extend that gap out by another 5 points, out to 43. And a gap of 43 points would be almost unassailable at that point in time, barring some real dramas out there. Kirsten Bayer taking a very aggressive stance forward of going through the gears, checking out how the car feels under acceleration, and also checking out the braking properties, getting a lot of heat into not just the tyres but the brakes as well. The brakes need to be warmed up. It's not going to be as easy as you would maybe like, and again, drivers trying to slow themselves down. Dean Vella's trying to be clever here and just control the pace of this field to his liking instead of Sheldon's liking out there in the front leading the pack, because if he can go a little bit slower, then it means that Sheldon has to go a little bit slower as well to keep the group bunched up and catered together, unless Sheldon Muscat decides to drive around at the speed limit and just hold everything together in a nice, neat bundle. Then I doubt that we'll see that much of a gap being formed. But Dean Vella keeps it well within range. doing more than enough out there. And there is Sheldon Muscat, just keeping an eye out on who's behind, how to get the results necessary, how to get the runs that are needed. All drivers classified, of course, because they are racing in LAN as amateur category drivers, of course. Comes to a set, of course, of competition in online racing. There is a number of factors that determines whether you get yourself an AM license or a silver or a pro-am or a pro out there when you get to go and race. So just a little something there just to keep in the back of the mind as they all look to set themselves up going through Blanchimont corner. And just another reminder that the start line for the race is after the last horse hairpin. So they go over at Spa or drive towards Spa and then turn the right and drive up the hill towards Francorchamps. Favelo over on the right as the mini-map does indicate. So expected to stay wet the entirety of the way through. Another 20 minutes to try and find in this light smattering of rainy conditions. Drivers now do have the order to file up too wide, and with such a quick run up through Eau Rouge and Radion, too wide off the start, you have to have commitment and you need the responsibility of drivers in and around you to make it up through that section of track safely. Who has got what it takes? Push right up to the very front. Sheldon Muscat knows that this is a race he cannot afford to hit down and just wait on. He has got to find a victory here to keep any semblance of hope and keep this championship from spiraling out of control. They will get the green flag as they drive down through this section, and when they do, they'll have 20 minutes to figure out just how quickly they can go. It was 8 laps in the first race. The green flag dropped. It might be something very similar. Abeja really getting a good launch then, and almost contact there with Nigel Mifsud as they ran through. Muscat clean as they go through. Pawlowski will get a drive-through penalty for speeding then on the formation of the grid. Just jumped the gun a bit too early. That's a drive-through penalty administered by the system. Defending now is Daryl Martinelli in 5th position, because that's Jean-Louis Carral trying to find a way through in the 911 car. So as they now hit the brakes and go into Lacoon for the first time, Carral comes together then with Martinelli, and they are both going to drop places then as they go through. Andrea Rizzo is going to sneak through. Pawlowski's going to try and go through. So too is Goran Andreevski trying to search for a chance to get the move. Pawlowski can't get the pass done, but we'll have that drive-through penalty as well, and it's searching down the inside. There's more contact, and down onto the inside then on the grass, somehow keeping it pointing in a straight line, was Trajan Pawlowski, who now has a lot of work to do and will be demoted to the back of the field as through goes Jean-Louis Carral making the pass. Pawlowski not too happy about it, thinking about a look to the inside, can't quite find the move there, not enough braking and momentum to send and lunge down the inside. So very dramatic then in the back of the pack, but it is clean off of the front, which is exactly what Sheldon Muscat wanted. Vela second, Mifsud third. Kirsten Abeja needing a good result here in 4th position now. Will have work to do, try and close down the points haul of Andrea Rizzo and of course Nigel Mifsud as well, as Pawlowski runs through the group now, led here in 6th position by Daryl Martinelli, trying to stay in as close as possible at this point in time. So a lot of work still to come along then. 2 minutes then, already a 10th of the race is put through. We haven't finished a lap's worth of running at this point in time, so there's still a long way to go just yet in terms of how they want to try and challenge. On the brakes they go into the final section of track. Pawlowski is going to stay out then, and not at least yet serve the drive-through penalty. Nigel Mifsud and on for the race lead as well as they go through for first and for third. Sheldon Muscat, there was a look from Dean Vela down the inside at the last horse hairpin, didn't quite manage it. Vela with the fastest lap, and Beja was really looking then for that pass on Mifsud. I think he's managed it and has moved up into third. So Sheldon Muscat then going a little bit too aggressive there over that curve. He's got to be careful that he doesn't go over that too often, because the system will keep an eye on off tracks as they go through and assert a penalty if there's been too much of them out there. So it's covered and defended then by Sheldon Muscat. A little bit cheeky the way to defend that. It'll be a question of whether he gained time and gained an advantage by doing that and running off the track the way he did. But it has been a point of sore spot, or it has been a sore spot of contention, so to speak, that he's been struggling up through Eau Rouge and Radion every time he's been going through, and that was just an understanding of it. Dean Vella proving why he is such a tough character to go and race against, because he's trying to prove for once and for all they've got everything there. Sheldon Muscat having a look then in the mirrors as he runs through then into the double gauche left-hander and try and attack off of the exit then. Go through with everything that's there and a little bit more. Still in these damp conditions, still looking to try and do as much as possible. Jean-Luigi Corral in 8th place has eyes affixed on Goran Andreevski in that fight for 7th. Andreevski, of course, getting retired in the opening lap of race 5 at 12 in this championship. This race 6 at 12, round 3 we're at right now. Brands Hatch, of course, 3 weeks, I believe it is, from today on the 2nd of September on the Friday. But Corral certainly not giving this one up, trying to get as much as possible. A lot of steering lock going through Spavallo, trying to get that car turned. And always something that drivers are trying to do. Get as much speed as they can out of the car, carry as much as they can. Really running wide through that section, attacking with Andreevski. Both drivers run a little bit off the road, trying to maximise the track as much as they can. On the brakes they go. A little look from the rear view mirror, rear wing, sorry, I should say, of Goran Andreevski showcases just how close Jean-Luigi Corral is, as Goran and Jean-Luigi battle of people whose first names start with a G as they go towards the last horse hairpin. A little look to the inside in the mirrors, couldn't get close enough and has to bail out of it, but does push Andreevski wide. So Andreevski leaving the room, expecting the car to be on the inside. It wasn't, and now all of a sudden it's opening up opportunities here for Jean-Luigi Corral, who is putting the car in all the right places here, left, right, and the understeer kicks in from the damp conditions, and it's there. Vella not close enough then to make the pass through on into Lakeholm here, up the hill, right then left, and then the subsequent right of Malmedy runs up to the highest point of the circuit. You can see some of the camping site there on the left-hand side that some of the fans here, or virtual fans in this sense, do get to deal with. Corral unable to get past Andreevski then. It is Veja in 3rd, Mifsud in 4th, Rizzo 5th, Martinelli currently in 6th, Andreevski in 7th position. No penalties as of yet handed down by the stewarding team, so it looks like all clear on that front. 13 minutes and 51 seconds remaining on the Jean-Luigi Corral. Still looking to give chase. You can take a look from the driver's eye perspective. This is exactly the look you would get here, ladies and gentlemen, if you were sim racing in a Assetto Corsa Competizione and wanted to get yourself in on the action and racing in a series like this. So definitely trying to chase, definitely trying to get as close as possible into Fania. Not quite close enough. It's a piff right, it's a path left, and you're always trying to conserve as much momentum as you can. Leading here, this small acceleration. You do have to flick down the gear into Campus, and a little bit heavy over that inside curve from Jean-Luigi Corral. It's just going to give Andreevski a chance to escape away, and just pushing a little bit wide on the exit, knowing that time is starting to slowly hemorrhage away. A little look then from what is effectively a drone shot here, moving forward, of your race leader. This is out there at this point in time. Sheldon Muscat doing just enough to keep behind or keep at bay at this point in time. Dean Vella, that gap extending out over this lap to 1.3 seconds with a 2:28.1, effectively setting a new fastest lap then of the race. Every reason for Sheldon Muscat to be excited, because he knows he's just got to put the foot down any which way he can. Now into the pits will be Trajan Pavlovsky, and now up the hill. So much you have to carry through here, and of course that building forever immortalized now on the left-hand side in the Centro Corsa Competizione. Of course, they've had to knock that down to bring in the brand new safety implements and changes, leaving a lot more room at Eau Rouge and Radion, one of the toughest areas of track in the world, I'd have to say, in order to make safe. And now running through Malmedy corner, top two breaking away. There is third in Abeja, fourth in Nigel Mifsud, who has not given up hopes of third position and back-to-back podiums here today. Would definitely love to try and get that all sorted if it is possible, but down the hill and really trying to fight. You can see how the lights reflect off the surface of the track. Track does look damp out there, damp to greasy, I would say, at this point, and we really haven't seen that much rain over the course of this second race, not in comparison to the way we did in the opening race, which indicates to me that this track might stay damp. As Jean-Louis Carral, oh dear, that's not how you want to go and deal and associate with that. Finding troubles out of the speaker's corner, and this is sort of the understanding of what makes this track difficult, is that that section of road as you drop down the hill is always going to be about how early you can put the power down. It's so easy to spin up the rears when the track falls down the hill and plateaus out. It's so easy for the rears to spin up in a car which traditionally Porsches have been rear-wheel drive machinery. So there's always that as well, which does make life a little bit difficult. Battle for third, still on track then, as Nigel Mifsud looks to try and chase it down in comparison to Kirsten Abeja out then on circuit, on the brakes, still trying to find that move. Martinelli as well has found the back of Andrea Rizzo, so the fight for fifth as we look towards the second half of the race is also still on at this point in time. Andrzejewski also closing up on into this battle too, so Goran does have a chance to get things all. Pawlowski is back out and away again, but it's about half a lap back now in terms of this race after the drive-through. But for Martinelli, he's going to really try and give chase, and there are just the tyre bundles as your leaders rush up through Radion and onto the next point of the track. I tell you what, Nigel Mifsud there had a really good run up the hill, and he might have a chance actually going into Les Combes if he has a chance. So getting really close in, it's about a car length, going to move to the inside, try and get in the mirrors, but he's not close enough under brakes in his Porsche 911 GT3 R to make that pass, so has to stay in line, at least for the moment here, with 9 minutes 18 seconds on the clock. Race is far from decided then at this point in time. Mifsud still trying to give chase. Kirsten Abeja has got to weather the storm in these rainier conditions. Looks like it maybe has gone a bit heavier. Andrzejewski then is on the back of this three-car scrap for fifth place, and we're trying to go through, and you can see there just how easy it is to understeer through that section of track. Missed the apex there by about a car width, and that's all it takes to run wide at that section of road. Mifsud again getting close then. They fly through Fania, right then the left, and opening it up towards the campus corner, and an incredible campus of automotive technologies that go through. A lot of engineering goes through that building, a lot of driving goes through that building, and it truly is a testament to the work and study that goes on at that relevant building. But Nigel Mifsud, as they pass the karting track there on the inside, chases on, and it's two very evenly paced drivers right now, finding themselves essentially deadlocked at this point. Mifsud very heavy on the brakes. Abeja gets it lovely, just about stopped, and doing just about enough to maintain that gap at this point. There's not much over the line, just 0.4 of a second. Time is very much of the essence. They hit the brakes, they go through the hairpin then of La Source for the first time. That big anti-cut curb that is there, and this is just how quick they all run through that gap, slowly extending out for the race lead. third and fourth, definitely got to have eyes on it then as they drive on up. Try and get as much as you can out of it. There is 5th, 6th and 7th, which is slowly turning into 5th and then 6th and 7th then. It looks like Martinelli starts to drop back into the clutches of Andrzejewski out there as they start to run around those laps. That gap extending out now to 2.2 seconds, and it looks like Abeja has had a moment then when it came to Rouge and Radion. He was so close, and at Radion it looks like he may have gone around and kept it out of the barriers, and that puts Andre Arizzo now up into 4th position. I wonder if there's damage. Oh yeah, there has to be damage. He's had to have clipped the wall somewhere to have had some wall, must have, or had some damage there for Costa Abeja for that car. Yeah, it does look a little bit worse for wear, and that is a real shame, and that might just be 4th place in the championship saying goodbye to him, with Nigel Mifsud up in 3rd position, and essentially would be 2nd on the day on points if it stays as is, the way that he's been running. So Goran Andrzejewski now gets promoted to 6th. Daryl Martinelli now up into 5th position, and it really does become a very, very important fight in the races for both of those drivers, Martinelli and Andrzejewski, because they've been searching for points all season long and they found it a little bit more difficult to come by. And these are the sorts of drivers that I'd be looking at as a huge slide there off the curb. And in the wall goes Andrzejewski. Andrzejewski just behind, in the wall then, coming out then of Fania. It's just how quickly they can all get themselves into a little bit of trouble. And just like that, they find themselves on the wrong end. You can still vote, ladies and gentlemen, for your driver of the day at dotd.wpr.gg to find out who is your driver of the day. You get 5 votes per. You can see the damage on the front now for Andrzejewski. That Porsche looks a little bit worse for wear, and suddenly Jean-Louis Carrao, going to have to go to the inside to get past the limping, absolutely limping Kirsten Abeja. You can see the front. It's a rear-engine, rear-wheel drive car, or mid-rear, I should say. It's a middle-engine, rear-wheel drive car, which means that front is not where you'd find the engine. That front is where you'd find the boot space, or effectively luggage. And just like that, needing to get the luggage popped back into the car, Kirsten Abeja dives into the pits, looking to try and fix some damage potentially on his machine. There is Dean Vella. The issue he's got is that he is a little bit behind right now, a gap about 1.9 seconds. And he knows, at least right now, that he's got to try everything and then some to close that margin down of about 2 seconds. It is the agonizing 2 seconds at this point here, which is really making life difficult for Dean, because he knows that Sheldon has got the pace, he's got the legs at this point in time, and they are just ticking over. 4 minutes left in this race. They will understand that when they cross the line, they will have probably 2 laps to go as they get there. Nigel Mifsud in 3rd position. It has been a lonely race for Nigel out there, with Dean Vella still on the screen. And those troubles us. Traian Pavlovsky finding out just how difficult the final corners are out there on track. You've got to really be precise as you go through, especially in these wetter conditions. It is always a tough challenge to go out to find everything there in terms of pointage. It is not as simple as you get everything all out. So there is still something left here in this race. There is still that element of fight remaining through these final proceedings. But for Daryl Martinelli in 5th position, his race is certainly not over. He's still looking to try and run down the likes of Andre Arizzo, and it would now be for place. So if you get that, this is big in terms of a pass. Can't get that, then it's a bit of trouble, and would be slightly more awkward if you can't quite manage to find the all-important trap. And if this does work out the way that it needs to, then I'm sure that in these final stages, it is going to come down to who can put everything they need together in the latter stages of the race. Martinelli still chasing down Andrea Rizzo, but cannot quite manage to get there. Dean Vella in second, that gap again eking out to 2.1, now to 2.4, and I think this is where you're going to have to resign your head at this point if you're Dean Vella. It's not going to be a 40-plus point lead. It's 38 going into this one. Abejo will come out of the pits then, and will be down in 9th position because Trajan Pavlovsky has gone through, has gained that place. Rizzo holding on, but it's not going to be 38 points. It's going to be 33 coming out of there, and there is a look at what is a barefoot, it looks like, for Andrea Rizzo, looking to get all of the feel there in the car, and at least at this point in time, can get understanding into what makes the car tick, what makes it go forward. Then drivers look for fuel every way they can, and if it is more consistent for them on the pedals, then go barefoot, why not at this point in time? I know a lot of sim racers who race in socks. I know many who race in racing boots. I know many who look for every which way to try and go through. I was at a event in Switzerland once upon a time, and every time I would go and take a chance on driving out there on one of the simulators, I would always be told by the owner, go get some gloves on. But here comes the move. Around the outside tries Martinelli, and he's going to get shown the door by Andrea Rizzo. Not much that you can do out there. Nothing that can be found in terms of bringing together of the chances that they can. It has been a really, really tough scrap as they go around and they fight for it. And look at this! Through Blochemont, around the outside in the wet. Oh! Martinelli with a pass. And Andrea Rizzo will try and get this straight back under braking, almost running into the rear. Got that one stopped better than the anthill mob. And they will have one more lap to figure out whether they can make that pass or not. Andrea Rizzo not giving this one up. He is not finding himself in a position where giving up is an option. But Martinelli sends it a mile wide at the last horse hairpin. And that brings through Andrea Rizzo back into 4th. But has he run that wide? Potentially, maybe, to get the run up the hill. Through the right of Radion. Think left, and now onto the Kebble Straight. Rizzo, middle of the road. Overspeed is there as they now drive through. Can Martinelli find it around the outside? It's going to have to be late on the brakes here. And he is! And they're going to come together. And there's a big, big collision between the two. Rizzo stops it. And through will go Martinelli, getting that place sorted. So a big, big coming together. It does bring Andrzejewski somewhat back into it. But it depends on how much damage Andrea Rizzo has to the steering as he goes through, because there were two big whacks of contact, and there around goes Trajan Pavlovsky, and that's certainly no good. Then going through Campus Corner, that's where his trouble ended up then, and that's definitely not ideal. But still looking to try and chase down that gap, chase down that battle, trying to get there, but he's certainly not quite at this point close enough. And I tell you what, Martinelli might just be able to stave this off in the later stages. Making their way towards Blanchemont now are your two leaders. Muscat leading Vella, and this is a damage limitation style race for Sheldon Muscat. Needed to bounce back here on this final lap as he will now come towards the final chicane on circuit. Rizzo looks like his race, he's not going to close that up in time, so let's throw it over to Sheldon Muscat, why don't we? He's coming through the final corner now and is about to come to the line and take what is an important win, not just for his championship, but for his confidence as well. Dean Vella does all he needs to. An Alain Prost style drive to second position, just mitigating the damages done then by Sheldon Muscat. And then Nigel Mifsud, what a race he's been having today. He will take 3rd place, and he's got every reason to be excited about the way that he has run that. So all sorted, and there's contact. We see at the bottom right of your screen, that's Andrea Rizzo going into the back of Martinelli through the final corner. And Martinelli is going to hold on then for 4th place. 5th will be Andrei Aritza. Andreevski will take 6th. Abejo across the line in 9th because Pavlovsky will be in 8th position, and 7th to Jean-Louis Carral. It'll be a long time before Trajan Pavlovsky gets around to the end of this race, but brilliant racing throughout. And a 5-second time penalty comes through for Daryl Martinelli late. That's going to drop him back to 7th behind Andreevski. So, sorry, to 6th place. So Martinelli will drop 2. So Andrei Aritzo will be up into 4th, and Goran Andreevski be moved up into 5th place. So those drivers will certainly find themselves with points, and will gain points with the way that they've gone about their business. So there is still a lot more to come about then as they've gone through. But Sheldon Muscat, your winner in race 2. Dean Vella, 2nd in race 2. And one Mr. Nigel Mifsud, 3rd in race number 2 out there. The drivers all in their sim rigs right now, and a look at the World Pro Racing Arena as they've gone through, and that marks the halfway stage season. And at halfway, they've got themselves 6 races, 3 rounds to go, and those 3 rounds will be split in a difference of about 12 days. Their first day will be on the 2nd of September, where they have to make an all challenge. That challenge is going to be at Brands Hatch, and it's going to be a tight and technical challenge out there for them. Moving on, a week later from that, they'll be jumping on to the circuit Paul Ricard over in the heart of France, that on the 9th, and then just a 5-day turnaround for Wednesday the 14th, and the season finale that they have, where a winner will be crowned. They head themselves to Mount Panorama Bathurst overall out there and getting all that they need done. But at least here for the multinational GT3 Esports Championship here in 2022, the margin is officially over 1 race, which means that this race or this season now becomes firmly ingrained in the hands of Dean Vella out there. It is not a guarantee that he has the championship locked up, because there are still many races left to go, and as many of the drivers then either A, finish or take a little look at everything that they've got going on right now. I can safely say that they've had some incredible racing action that they've been putting together. A wonderful event here in terms of the multi scene, and this just goes to prove such an incredible facility, the opportunity to race, the opportunity to learn for anyone really, all ages, all genders, all out there, all disability, learning or otherwise, to go out there to have fun. And sim racing is fun, and that's what we love about sim racing. Sim racing is this bit of fun, and the drivers, even though they get themselves caught up sometimes in an instant here and there, they can have themselves all sorts of fun. There is your winner, by the way, Sheldon Muscat, standing pretty close by to our camera up there in the top left. So he will certainly have himself the opportunity to have a little chat and the talk later on, when the presentation will bring itself forward and into play, and we will be getting word as and when that will be coming through. But we are just keeping an eye out on penalties and the like, just getting confirmation of results. Of course, all the results here of the multinational esports GT3 Championship. I have just turned 2 words around there. Will have to be verified and adjudicated, of course, by the very, very thankless task that is done by one Mr. Adrian Fagayo and George Muscat. You have to really keep an eye out on those people getting it done behind the scenes, making sure that the event runs smoothly and successfully, and everyone is up there at the highest possible level, doing what they can to effectively give legitimacy to racing. And that is something that I am so proud to say happens so often here with World Pro Racing events. And if you head over to World Pro Racing or WPR.gg for any events that are coming up in the future that you can get your hands on, that some may be remote, some of which that are at the World Pro Racing Arena. You can keep an eye out on those if you head to wpr.gg/events on all the action going forward. Of course, some of the action today being brought to you by motorsport.tv, by ESTV, the Esports Television Network, with TVM Sport, and some amazing partners that have been going through as well, with Enemed Gaming Malta, AMD, GT Omega Racing, HyperX, Data Video, GP Racing, and England Insurance. On top of that, of course, a lot of work that is done wouldn't be able to be done without the help of those wonderful companies jumping in and giving a helping hand. But I can say is that the championship points should be around 33 or 32. It does depend on the driver of the day points, which do look rather interesting from an eye's view as they go through. So we'll be waiting patiently to see who's have what points and where, and who's scoring how many points and where over with the driver of the day polling and voting. And I will be curious to see who get a point or an extra championship point, which is going to give them a major fight over to the championship. So keep our eyes peeled on that, just like we will keep our eyes peeled on when we get ourselves then to the presentation and where everyone has found themselves to be. But ladies and gentlemen, this has been an so far, and is only going to go from strength to strength as the series go through. And the FIA Motorsports Games is one of the premier sim racing events in the world. It hasn't been going for very long, that much we can certainly say, but it's the sort of event that only grows in prestige over time. And the move to Assetto Corsa Competizione, I think, is going to increase the strength of the field as it goes through. And I believe that racing is going to be something truly special as the different nations gather together, their competitors, and find what is some all racing action as they go through. So drivers slowly mingling their way over to the far end. I believe Kirsten Bay has got the backpack on, so I don't know how long he's preparing to stay at this point, but it's certainly going to be one get things all nicely sorted to go through. Drivers happy, some maybe not happy with the way they were racing today, but there is still a long way to go in this championship, and 6 races of 20 minutes each. Quick maths on that says that they've got about 2 hours worth of racing time that they'll have to do, and a bit more, of course, because it's never an exact 20 minutes. They've got a little bit more here and there that they have to do and adjudicate as they all go to get themselves sorted. I do wonder at what point maybe we can go down and have a little look at some of what is being going on here, and just a little bit more of this racing arena, because it's not just about the arena itself and the ability to race. Of course, you see it on that walk in. They do walk top area as well, where getting yourself some gaming parts as well, building your own PC at home sometimes is the most thankless task, and can be a very difficult task in terms of wading through and knowing exactly what you need to set up and get competitive. And even at an entry level, there is something out there in terms of product for whoever necessarily needs it as they go through, especially for those who are out there in Malta at this point in time. May have misidentified Kirsten Beher there, might not is as they walk through, and it should be entertaining for the very least to see who is going to be up on top and fighting for it. And the only way that competition grows in a scenario like this is if more events like this happen, more spaces like this get themselves into play, and talent levels get risen. Dean Veller's the sort of driver who I'd have said a year ago would not have been the favourite for an event like this, and is still going forward, still taking an eye out on penalties then, it seems, at this point in time. So that's why we've got this increased delay, ladies and gentlemen, here at this point, and we do apologise for it, but you know, it's all everyone's keeping an eye out on these penalties, that everyone is able to put in at the right point in time where they are, what the right results out there. So it should be entertaining to keep in mind that these drivers are going to want every point they can get their hands on, and it's not necessarily the easiest in the world that everyone can do. And of course, in an environment like this, if you have a problem with a driver, it's one of the few things where you can just talk driver to driver about a certain incident here and there, and getting through all of what is been an incredibly strong battle out there moving forward. So that should be something just worth keeping in the back of the mind. And I'm sure that with the long break that they've got coming up, there'll be a lot of practice on Brands Hatch, that everyone's going to be trying to maneuver around and get themselves the advantage. They've got 3 tracks to work on in 12 days. So they're going to have to do a lot of work on the fly, or they've got to do all their practice at the same time, which is never truly the most ideal scenario for everyone. But it should be still an important 3 weeks, even though there's not going to be races until September. Work that they'll have to do over the month of August is still going to be staggering, and that's where they're going to separate a good driver from a great driver. Who does the most, who's going to find the most, and who is going to be in the right position at the right time, as most, if not all, of the drivers now have left the World Pro Racing arena and heading out towards the ceremony as and when that will be going through. I am just waiting for confirmation on when I can release results out there for you all, ladies and gentlemen, of course, of who scored the most points in this round and who the championship looking as it is at the moment. So, I'll tell you what, it has been a very, very good day in terms of racing. A little bit of drama in the early race number 1, but it just goes to show you that the pace was there in race number 2 for Sheldon Muscat. He was able to mitigate the damage, was able to close down that gap just that little bit more. Still got a lot of work to do, and it's going to take probably, at this stage, gonna have to take a bit of help from someone else to get there, if my maths is somewhat up there, or it's gonna have to take a lot of pace to run up to the highest levels and to get everybody up there and sorted. So should be a close run championship towards the end. Could be absolutely here, there, and everywhere in terms of what could happen, who's got pace, who finds the advantages at what point in time. The only place to catch that is with us at World Pro Racing. And if you haven't had the chance to already, you can keep an eye on the socials as and when events and other things are going to be jumping up, as well as brand new shows that are coming up, of course, in October. There'll be a brand new show on TVM Sport known as Esports Plus, which will be fantastic to watch. Our very own Justin Mifsud will be out there and getting a little bit of an opportunity to go forward and bring things together. So looks like with an empty arena right now, with the calmness there and all the drivers getting themselves sorted together, that we are very soon jumping over towards a few drivers and their conversations. And I believe Justin Mifsud is down there with all of the drivers, looking to get a little bit of conversation and understanding going, and trying to make sure that everyone will get their reactions on how everyone's day has been and their runs have been going. If it weren't for the fact that Justin is running at 1,000,000 miles an hour, trying to get potentially a microphone or something to that ilk, making sure everything's okay. So looks like we'll just be a minute before we get ourselves to there. But of course, to everyone who has been watching and is seeing what this is for the first time and is looking to try and understand what esports is, what sim racing is, what the multinational GT3 Esports Championship 2022 is. It is just this incredible racing series where one driver from Malta will represent their country at the FIA Motorsport Games, one of the only accredited esports teams. But as we get this chance to, Nigel Mifsud then will take 3rd position overall in terms of points today, with 35 points on the table proved absolutely vital in terms of getting consistent results down. A second and a third is definitely nothing to shake a stick at, and did exactly that then here today. So you can't really argue too much about the way he ran about today's proceedings. He did exactly what he needed to. There are the trophies, 1, 2, and 3. And he'll certainly be collecting one of those out there. And there he goes up onto stage. He'll be taking that third place trophy away with him for the work that's gone through. And some incredible work then that has come together for him. And just incredibly consistent in terms of his pace. And Justin's down there. And he will have a chat Mifsud to Mifsud.
Nigel, Mifsud, podium. Mifsuds are good, right? First podium, so already a good thing. He kept pushing to finally get a podium in the third round of the national championship. Your feeling overall now?
I'm very happy. I knew that today, with Dylan not being here, there was an opportunity to stand up here. Happy that worked out. Kirsten pushed me hard for a few laps in the second race. I knew he would make a mistake. He was driving very aggressively. So I'm happy I was able to keep my calm, and now I'm here.
This is the good thing of this championship, and I'm enjoying it, because people always try to, you know, lay back or stay back from competing in the national championship like last year. In fact, there's Adrian next to me who can confirm that, where to have 10 drivers competing was a miracle. Why? Because they knew who was going to win and blah, blah, blah. And today, this year is different. We have someone who never competed in such events, and he got his first podium, and hopefully getting more podiums in the next rounds. From my heart, I wish that we see new drivers getting podiums and compete with the drivers that you usually see competing and winning, because that's what we push for, to have more drivers competing. On to the next driver.
So 35 points it was for Nigel Mifsud, but Sheldon Muscat was able to collect 36 points today. Did so well to fight back in race 1 to get a 5th place finish, and crucially a win in race 2. It's just enough on the points count to get up there, and an incredible display of resolute driving to bring back the resolve for race number 2.
Sheldon, P2, 36 points, 1 point more than Nigel. I'm not going to explain again or ask you to explain what happened. It's part of motorsport, but the overall experience, you still got the podium, you kept on pushing, you did one thing which is very important for people out there who are watching: never back down. You got driver of the day, pole position as well, so you got 2 extra points. You have a lot of fans, so it's good to thank them, because you got the most votes, and including, of course, of the judges, of Adrian and the rest of the stewards, including George. Your experience overall after the podium that you got today?
It was great. Yeah, quali was good. Quali was quite good, I think. I had another 5 tenths or 4 tenths in the last chicane, but I lost them. So yeah. And then race 1, you know, everyone knows what happened. I think. Well, you have to never back down, as you said. You have to keep on going. And I went, you know, I finished P5, and I still got points. And then race 2, I think it was really plain sailing. Just first place and kept on the pace, fastest lap in. And that's it, I think. And I have to thank all the fans for voting. Thank you so much.
But still, he didn't do one thing which was asked by the fans, because we had to show you eating a pizza, which unfortunately he ate it all and then went on to drive for the second race, but at least I went by passing you with the pizzas and stuff, so we still tried to do something. It's very important, as Adrian said, that you have to keep on pushing. If Sheldon lost his focus in the second race, he wouldn't have made more improvement in the second race. So keep on always pushing and keep the calm for next races to come. Last position, I will say last, which is the final position. P1, on to you.
45 points here today. A lead margin now of 32 in the championship. Dean Vella once again proving that he has that outright pace and he has the consistency to go along with it as well. It was a very, very strong display, and not just a display of just taking advantage of a situation that comes up in front, but also managing a race and not looking to push the barriers as far as possible, just driving well within the limits and scoring more important points.
Dean Vella in Nayu in Maltese, 45 points. You're not serious now. You got another trophy. She's going to end up in the mall and selling the trophies. Well, those trophies are earned by competing and being committed to compete, train, practice, determination. Am I right?
Pretty much. I mean, that's what it takes at the end of the day. So
it's very important, as I said, and as he said, of course, because he's the one driving and training, and the rest of the drivers here and the rest of the drivers who didn't get a podium, but they still competed and tried their best. Dean, 45 points, no driver of the day, no pole position, but still you kept on pushing. But of course, Sheldon gained 2 extra points to get closer to you. Your experience today overall, and if you're prepared for next race?
Pretty good. I mean, I did lack a bit of pace. That's the main issue. I got a bit lucky in race 1. So still managed to win overall, but yeah, still there is a lot of work to be done in terms of overall pace, and that's the main target I'll be working towards for the next few races.
Great. From us here at the facility of World Pro Racing, I would like to thank everybody, the drivers first of all of them, those who competed, that's the first important thing. All the crew behind the scenes, Nicholas, Lon, who was taking photos and uploading on our social media, the stewards, Adrian and George, monitoring the races, doing their best in the best possible way, especially being fair. Raiza was floor managing the event. Nathan Vella was behind the scenes also doing the broadcast, switching cameras. The rest of the crew and all our partners, of course, Enemed. This championship is fueled by Enemed Gaming Malta, AMD, GT Omega, HyperX, GP Racing Cards and England Insurance. Without these sponsors, we cannot host such events. And of course, thanks to all the broadcasting partners, ESTV, Motorsport TV, TVM Sport. Last but not least, from my end, it's very important to watch our upcoming TV show about esports called Esports Plus on TVM Sport Plus, coming this October. It's going to be in Maltese because we're promoting the local esports, pushing our athletes out there, those who are afraid to come out on the stream or whatever they want to do. We're promoting our island in esports. On to you, Jake.
Thank you, Justin. And from here in the United Kingdom, I've been Jake Sperry. Multinational GT3 Esports Championship of 2022 takes another decisive turn as it will now move towards Brands Hatch, but it'll be a while before they do. The 2nd of September, that is when they're next racing, and crucially, it is going to be 3 races in 12 days. It is going to be very hard fought for now and the end of this season. From everywhere you've been watching, TVM Sport, ESTV, Esports Television Network, from motorsport.tv, from Facebook, from YouTube, wherever you've been, thank you very much for watching. Dean Vella is on top. His battleground is now firmly set. He knows it's 32 points, but 32 points is not unsurmountable. It's going to take a hard amount of work in the next 3 races, but it is possible. Watch this space. This championship is far from over.
Niġu bil-pisi tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports. Programm fejn ħanitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, Esports Plus.
GT3Esports.com.
Okay, we proceed to the start.
Niġu bil-PC tagħna u l-monitor fih daqsiex, għas missieri ma kien jifilħu. Ħanerġa' ninsa għax weħlet li ma nistax kif ukoll. Wasal iż-żmien li nħolqu programm dedikat tal-esports, programm fejn ħanitkellmu fuq ħafna affarijiet, edukazzjoni, saħħa, l-industrija tax-xogħol, però l-iktar ħaġa importanti li nippromovu l-esports pajjiżna għaliex intom kapaċi. Mela tinsewniex, Esports Plus.